Very nice, very warm welcome to all of you guys. Now, guys, one thing that I've seen is so sentence correction is it gives the spooks to most of us, all right, and there are numerous reasons for that. All of us believe that this is the reason I don't do well in SC. This is the reason I don't do well in SC. I'm struggling in SC. I've been preparing for a long time. I've not been able to do anything. Today, for once and for all, we are going to lay all that to rest. Now, before I begin, okay, there are a couple of questions I'll ask you guys, all right, and I want you to answer me. So here's the first question coming up, all right. Now, the question is very simple. There are a lot of things that are very important, okay, to solve SC questions on the GMAT successfully. And we are not saying that any of these things is less important. But my query is very simple. Which of these three things do you believe is most important for a student to know for solving GMAT SC questions successfully? So let me bring up the poll. Give me a moment. Let me bring up the poll here, and I want you to answer this poll. Okay, so I'm going to wait a moment while you answer this poll. Okay, think properly. Okay, think, introspect, be truthful to yourself, because there are a lot of things that we are going to understand about ourselves today, our way of approaching SC, and that's very important. Acknowledging and understanding where we are going wrong is half the battle won. So I want you to ponder, what do you really think is most important? Is it that the rules have to be known thoroughly? Is it that you should recognize the patterns which come in the questions and the answer choices? Or is it that you should understand the meaning of the original sentence, that is the question sentence? Okay, so I have the poll here. I'm going to end it, guys. If you haven't put in your polls, please put it quickly. All right, so I'm going to end the poll now. Okay, so let me quickly tell you the results of this poll. All right, and we are going to assimilate the result of this poll with the result of another poll. So over here, 6%, only 6% of you, mind it, believe that it is the rules which is important, the most important rather. And then there is, sorry, 21% of you who believe that it is important, the most important thing is to recognize the patterns in the questions and the answer choices. And a very, very healthy 72% of you believe that the meaning of the original sentence is important. Now, just keep this in mind. So more than 70% of this class believes that it is the meaning of the original sentence which is important. Now, let me bring up the next question, guys, and give me a moment. I'll also bring in the new poll, so before you answer. So here is the next set of questions, and let me refresh the poll. Okay. So here is the new poll. Now, before you answer this question, just wait for 2 seconds and think. How do you allocate your time when you're actually solving the SC questions, guys? Do you give almost equal time to all the choices, like A, B, C, D, E, all of them you give equal time? Or do you give most of the time to choice A, that is the original sentence, and then you move to the remaining choices? Or is it that you eliminate some of the choices right away, and then you give the remaining time to the other choices? So put in your polls, guys. I'll just do a countdown of 5. To myself, that is, I don't want to disturb you. So yes, I can see that you guys are putting in your polls, and this is a very important step, guys, so bear with me. This is a very important step that we are performing here, so be with me. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now, guys. Now let me tell you the results of this poll. So 7% of you give almost equal time to all the choices. All right, just 14% of you give maximum time to choice A, and then you divide the remaining time. So the majority of the time is divided over the other choices. And 78% of you actually eliminate some of the choices, which means you straight away go to the choices and eliminate them, and then you give the remaining 10 to the other choices. Now, if you recall, okay, so what does this mean? What does the result of these two questions mean? Now, if you recall, 72% of you, okay, agreed that it was very important, it was most important to understand the meaning of the original sentence. But look at this, 78% of you don't even spend time on choice A. You spend most of the time, you eliminate the sum of the choices and then you give the remaining time to the other choices. Only 14% of you give maximum time to choice A, and then you distribute the remaining time to the other choices. So that, what does this mean? This means very simple. The meaning or the outcome of this is, the meaning is important, okay? 72% of you acknowledge that, but you don't know how to implement the meaning based approach. For you, applying the meaning based approach is to straight away go to the choices, eliminate some of the choices, and the remaining time to the other choices. Now, what is the pitfall of doing this? Okay, if you have been doing this, trust me, you have been doing something which is never going to help you improve your scores. All right. The problem is not that you don't know that the meaning based approach is important. It's that you don't know how to apply it. And even if you do know how to apply it, there is a reason probably why you straight away go to the choices. Okay, let me discuss that with you. And this is very important, guys. This could be the reason why you're not making progress on SC. So just bear with me for another maybe 5 minutes, and then we are really going to sink our teeth into the question. So the root of the problem, and I'm sure you will agree with me. I'll put up a poll at the end of this discussion and ask you whether it is something that you feel is true. So I'm sure the root of the problem is all of you want to make sure that you're able to attempt all the 36 odd questions that come in the verbal section. All right, you want to attempt all the questions in the sense that you want to attempt all the questions by giving them almost equal attention. So the idea is that you want to save time so that the time lasts for the entire verbal section. And what you do is you start to straight away squeeze time on every question from the beginning. From the beginning, the clock is invisibly ticking in your mind. You feel that you're taking too much time on that question and you quickly try to solve that question. In trying to solve that question quickly, you're trying various methods. You're straight away going to the answer choices. You're quickly scanning the answer choices. You're eliminating some choices, and you're dividing the rest of the time between the other choices. And you're not really giving time where it should be given. You're not even trying to understand. And this again is for most of you, not trying to understand that meaning is important and what you should do to understand that meaning. All right. So in today's session, guys, we will address this problem. We will talk about what is this meaning based approach, how to apply it such that you are able to successfully solve SC question without wasting any time within that 90-second, that 120-second mark, and with high accuracy. And this is especially true for sentences which are fully underlined. They take a lot of time to analyze, right? So the root of the problem is this fear that you won't have enough time to solve all the questions. Okay, so let's see. I'm not saying that you should not, try to solve the question in as less time as possible. But the point is, while trying to squeeze this time, there are some mistakes that you commit, and these are going to cost you heavily, guys. There are three common, very, very common mistakes in my entire experience of teaching students. I've seen that inadvertently, even the best of students commit this, sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly. So the first mistake, you give very little time to the original sentence, guys, and you straight away go to the split in the options because you believe that's going to save you time. All right. And especially if the entire sentence is underlined, you probably think that what's the point of reading choice A, that is the original sentence? All the sentences are very different, and you go to the other choices. The point is, does this really save time? Does it really work the way you want it to work? Okay, is time really saved? What happens to accuracy? We will answer all these questions today. You will see for yourself that this doesn't really work. All right. The other most common mistake is, and this is a little psychological, that the error lies in the underlying part. So somehow, inadvertently, subconsciously, you start focusing more on the underlying part, and you really do not focus on the non-underlying part. Ask yourselves, do you really focus more on the equally on all the parts? No, I'm sure not. Okay, this is something that happens to us. And what happens is, if you only focus on the underlined part, you will miss out on some subtle nuances which are given in the non-underlined part and which are necessary for you to pick the correct answer choice. So you must spend ample time and you must spend equal focus on the entire sentence. The third most grievous mistake is you focus more on rules rather than logic. Now, I agree that only 6% of you believe that rules are most important. But see, 78% of you actually went straight for the choices, which means you're basically eliminating the choices based on some rules that you know. And more in the recent GMAT questions, I've seen that it is the logic that is becoming supermost. It's not that GMAT test makers are abandoning rules. It's that they want to check if the student is logically able to apply the rules. All right. So you focus more on rules and you rule out choices based on that, but you don't look for the logic behind the sentence. And these three mistakes really can cost you heavily. Okay. What happens is you don't have a clear idea of the intended meaning. And guys, forgive me for being harsh, but this is the first step. You have to acknowledge what you might be doing wrong. Okay. And trust me on this. I'm going to show you, I'm going to demonstrate to you in this today's session that this indeed happens. So if you don't have a clear idea of the intended meaning, what will happen is you will choose an incorrect choice, which might be grammatically correct, but it is very different from the intended meaning if you don't spend ample time on the original choice. If you're not spending ample time or you're not focusing equally on the underlined and the non-underlined part, what will happen is you will not be able to draw a proper correlation between the two parts. And again, the result would be to opt for incorrect choices. And finally, if you are only focusing on rules and not the logic, then you might come up with a choice which has no grammatical errors, but is not quite logical, all right, or it is not for the intended meaning. So committing any of these errors is going to really bring down your scores. Now, I'm just going to put up a poll, guys, all right? And the poll is intended to ask you whether all of these things or some of these things happen to you or not. Do you agree with me? So let me just bring up a yes and no poll. I want you to tell me whether you agree with uh, whatever we've discussed. This happens to you. You have experienced these things, you have done these things, sometimes consciously, sometimes subconsciously. Well, I've got 100% on that, guys. So if this is the case, today is the right place you've come to. We are going to solve this problem for once and for all. I just want your concentration, your absolute undivided attention, and your trust as to what we are going to say is something that we've researched a lot upon, and we found that it really is the reason. Okay, so let's get going. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a question, guys. It's an official question. All right. And I want you to solve the question the way you normally solve it. Forget about whatever what you should do and you should not do. I want each of you to tackle that question the way you normally do. All right. The way you normally do. Because I want you guys to see for yourselves what the difference would be if you tackled it some other way. All right. So for now, you solve this question the way you normally do. All right. So let me bring up the question. Just give me a moment. Here comes the question. I'm going to give you just 2 minutes to solve this question because that's what we are trying to do today. So I'm going to give you, I'm going to be generous and I'm going to give you that 30 seconds extra. So you'll have exactly 2 minutes to solve this question and then I'm going to stop you. So all the best, guys. Get set, go. Follow the process that you normally follow. Let me bring up the polls.
The poll is live,
Okay,
so
yeah, I saw that. Thank you, Piyush. Thank you so much. You've got 30 more seconds to go, guys. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop the poll, end with the poll now. So if you haven't put in your answers, quickly put in your answers. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, all right. So before I begin, okay, let me first declare the results of the poll. So let's see. 16% of you have gone for A. Small 2% have gone for B. 28% have gone for C. 38% have gone for D, and there is a 14% that has gone for E. All right. So we see that the people are mostly divided over A, C, and D is what I see. In fact, even E to a certain extent. Now, tell me, guys, how many of y'all? And I want you to be really, 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 really honest. Okay. How many of y'all were confident about the answers that you were posting? Whatever be the answer, how many of y'all were confident of the answer? Okay. You don't know the answer right now. So how many of y'all were absolutely confident about the answer that you chose was correct? I'm going to just count 5. Maybe you're still putting in the answers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. Now, very interesting. 36%, only 36% of you were confident. You were confident. And 63% of you say you were not really confident. So this is not a very strange scenario for me. As an educator, as a trainer, I've seen this happen to so many students, and I've seen them feel so, feel them lose hope. But trust me, guys, we are going to look at a method which is really, really going to be able to mark that answer choice with 100% confidence. Okay, let me say 99.99% confidence. Okay. So now the reason why you were lacking in confidence. It's probably because you did not really know the method that you were following, the meaning that you were trying to understand from the sentence was really correct or not, whether it was intended or not. All right. And just before this question, I had given you that long lecture about intended meaning and original sentence and so many. I'm sure that was playing some sort of games in your mind. So the point is that if you solve it by any other method that we are going to discuss right now, the meaning based approach, you're going to have this sort of confusion, and this is going to mar your performance in the other questions. You don't want to mark a question with a lack of confidence, move to the other question, and keep thinking about the fact that you might have botched up the previous question. That's psychologically so bad. That 3R GMAT test is a test of your mental stability or mental soundness and strength. All right. So let me, without more ado, go straight away into showing you how this question could have been solved with confidence, right? All right. You should be able to eliminate all the choices with confidence which are not correct and choose the one which is definitely correct. And for that, you have to apply the meaning based approach, which means you spend maximum of your solving time on the original sentence. It might sound counterintuitive to you guys, but believe me, there is no other way, and I'm going to show it to you. So let me start with my dissection bisection. All right. So this is the step. This is the original sentence where we'll give maximum time. And this is how. So I want you to see for yourself what this meaning based approach is. All right. This is what I want you guys to do. In a meaning based approach, it's very simple. I will demonstrate it to you in this question. You break a sentence into small chunks and you identify the meaning of that chunk. And as you go along, you try to understand the role played by each chunk. You try to contextualize the meaning. You try to relate back the meaning to the previous portion. And that is how you arrive at the intended meaning. On the way, you also try to spot the errors. So we'll do the same. Okay, let's get started. While. Now, straight away, the while at the beginning tells me there is a contrast that is intended. Okay, so I know that straight away. All right. It costs. Now, what is this it referring to? I know that it is a pronoun and I need to be aware of its antecedent. I need to look out for its antecedent. The way it looks, it seems it might be used as a placeholder. That is, it might be used to point out a sentence, the way we say it is raining. But let's see. While it costs about the same to run nuclear plants as. So here we know we are going to talk about some comparison. All right. So what is the comparison? it costs about the same to run nuclear plants as other types of power plants. Now, clearly here there is an error. We wanted to compare, what did we want to compare? That it costs about the same to run nuclear plants as it costs to run other types of power plants. But the way this piece is constructed, that's not the meaning. It seems the comparison is directly between the cost of running nuclear plants and other types of power plants instead of the cost of other types of plants. So the first error that we can see here is of comparison. The comparison is not parallel. Let's read on. So probably the idea is very clear. The intended meaning is very clear here. We are trying to say that the cost of running nuclear plants is about the same as the cost of running other types of power plants. So this is the intended meaning. Okay, let's move on. It is, now again we have a it here and that again to at the beginning of a clause. Again we need to keep a lookout for whether this it is referring to anything. Does it have an antecedent? Well, it can't be referring to anything in the previous clause, and there does not seem to be anything that it could refer to later on. So probably it's again playing the role of a placeholder. All right, let's see. It is a fixed cost. Now, straight away, I have a feeling, see, when I was saying, while it is the cost of this, the simultaneous comparison should be, it is the cost of so and so, but that's not there. So let's move ahead. We are still looking at the same comparison error here. It is the fixed cost that, so here we have a relative pronoun, and since this that is referring to costs, so we have a relative pronoun modifier. All right, so fixed costs, these fixed costs stem or come from building nuclear plants. All right, that makes, now we have another relative pronoun modifier here. That, now what we can understand is probably that we are talking about fixed costs that makes it more expensive, but the construction is very bad. We cannot have the relative pronoun modifier, okay, referring to the noun which is the subject of another relative pronoun modifier. Can you see this? It is placed next to nuclear plants. So logically speaking, it should refer to nuclear plants that makes. Moreover, whether it is costs or plants, there is a subject verb error clear and clear over here, okay. Ideally, what we are trying to say is it is the fixed costs that make it more expensive. Since the costs can make it more expensive, the nuclear plants cannot make anything more expensive. All right. So what are we trying to say here? We are trying to say that there are fixed costs that occur from building nuclear plants. And let's see what else we are trying to say. We are trying to say that these fixed costs make it. Now again, we have a it. And in this case, it is not at the beginning of a sentence. It is actually the object of the verb makes. Now here we need to definitely identify what is this it referring to. And you can see it's not clear. Makes what more expensive for them to generate electricity. Now them here probably refers to nuclear plants because that's the closest noun. So the costs of building nuclear plants make the process of generating electricity for these nuclear plants more expensive. That's what it seems to be saying. All right. But this it has no antecedent. It probably should not even be used. What we are trying to say is the costs of the building nuclear the costs of the building nuclear plants make electricity generation more expensive by these nuclear plants. So in other words, what we are saying is because of these fixed costs, electric generation by nuclear plants is more expensive than electricity generation by other types of power plants. This is what I got the feeling, you know, the electricity, or in other words, we can say the electricity that the nuclear power plants generate is made more expensive because of the fixed costs of those plants. So can you see how I derived the intended meaning, guys? I'm just going to put up a poll before I move forward. Just give me a moment. Can you see how I was able to derive the intended meaning? I want all of you to answer on this, guys. Please put in the polls. See how easy it becomes once you do this. But hardly any of us does this. We don't spend time on the original sentence. What's the point? We feel it's a wastage of time. Now, once you've done this, then when you go to the answer choices, we will see how easy it will become to confidently eliminate the choices. All right. So a very small percentage of you says you were not able to understand. Very simple, guys. You have to break the sentence into pieces and try to understand the intended meaning. For example, in this case, the first portion is clearly comparing the running costs of nuclear plants and running costs of power plants, but that comparison is not equal. Then the second portion is talking about fixed costs that stem from building nuclear plants. That makes, now this second, that, what is it referring to? It's placed next to nuclear plants, but probably it refers to the costs. Then the next, it makes it more expensive. Makes what more expensive? Makes the process expensive, makes electricity expensive, makes electricity generation expensive. Nothing is clear here. All right, so you see there are a lot of confusion here, but I can see 96% of you have understood this process. Great going, guys. We're going to apply this process in the questions that are going to come up soon. Now I'm going to show you how understanding this meaning will help you eliminate the choices with confidence. So let's move to the answer choices. Give me a moment. Let's see. Okay, so this was clear. All right. And so the errors that we came up with was, one was the comparison error. The second was subject agreement. And we could add to that, the error was the last it, it has no antecedent. So those are the three clear errors, apart from the entire sentence really making no sense. Okay. So although despite that, we were able to derive the meaning. So now the choice that we are looking for should have these 3 points incorporated correctly in them. Let's move to, so choice A we've eliminated. It's not the correct choice. So those of you who chose choice A, I hope you're able to see where you went wrong, where you did not relate the meaning. Okay, let's move to choice B. Very small percentage of you chose choice B. All right, and I'm not going to dwell too much on this. Very clearly here, it costs about the same to run nuclear plants as for other types of plants. Very awkward. Whereas the electricity they, now this they is placed actually nearer to other types of power plants. Although from our intended meaning analysis, we know it is referring to nuclear plants. Either ways, there is an ambiguity here. There is an ambiguity here, and we know GMAT is absolutely against ambiguity. So whereas the electricity they generate is more expensive, and then stemming here is modifying the verb generate. So how stemming from fixed costs? So generation is stemming from the fixed costs, makes no sense. This entire sentence is pretty much illogical. All right, let's move to the, so this choice, I think a very, very small percentage of you chose this, and I want you to see why it's incorrect. Primarily for two reasons. There is this ambiguity about they, then this stemming, it is supposed to modify generate because it's a comma plus ing modifier, and then it doesn't make sense. It doesn't agree with that generate. Okay, so this is incorrect. Let's move to choice C. 28% of you, so that C is the second most popular choice, and let's see if it is correct. Even though, so we have the contrast here, it costs about the same to run nuclear plants as for, now this ideally it should be, even though it costs about the same to run nuclear plants as it does. No, for, had it been like this, it would still have been okay. It is the fixed costs that stem from building nuclear plants that makes, now you still have this subject verb error. Can you see this? Had you been, had you analyzed, okay, so my question is, for those of you who marked C, I'll just bring up the poll. Okay, my question is, had you, don't you think if you had analyzed the original sentence, you would have noticed this subject verb agreement error? Don't you think that you would have been able to spot this error right away if you had given more time to the original sentence? Let me reframe. Don't you think you would have been able to spot this if you had given more time to the original sentence? Well, I've got a huge percentage of yes. Yes, guys, if you had deliberated on the original sentence, you would have spotted this right away. You would have asked yourselves, that makes, this is one of the most common, the easiest errors to spot. Plants that makes, costs that makes, you would have spotted it right away. And probably you did not spot it because you read the full sentence in a hurry, or you did not deliberate on the sentence. Okay, so the reason is, sorry. So here clearly this sentence is incorrect. All right. The makes is erroneous. The that error, we don't know what it is supposed to refer to. It's placed next to nuclear plants, but it is supposed to refer to fixed costs. The comparison is still not logical. All right. So although makes it, that error has been kind of resolved, makes the electricity more expensive. Despite that, C is out. Okay, let me. So D was the most popular choice. 38% of you chose this. And again, as I questioned you earlier, if you chose it very confidently for the right reasons, very good. But if you were shaky, if you were kind of, okay, the others don't sound that good, this is probably the better choice and all that, that shouldn't be the way you choose the correct option. Okay. As you aim for higher scores, you will be served tougher questions. And in that case, you need a very solid approach. Let's see the sentence. While the cost, so let's see, slight change here instead of it costs. While the cost of running nuclear plants is the same as for, okay, so here this is a slight deviation, but we can still go with it. We can say the cost of running nuclear plants is about the same as the cost is for other types of power plants. All right. The fixed costs that stem from building nuclear plants make, see the subject verb error, it has been rectified. Fixed costs, okay, that stem from nuclear plants. This is modifying fixed costs. This is the relative pronoun modifier. The word for fixed costs is make. Good. So the fixed costs make the electricity they. Now this they is placed closest to nuclear plants. It's referring to the nuclear plants clearly. Generate more expensive. That means all the 3 points. So we are talking about the comparison being logical. Running costs of nuclear plants is about the same as the running cost for other types of power plants. It's the fixed costs that make the electricity the nuclear plants generate more expensive, and therefore choice D is correct. See, so I'm sure those of you who followed the meaning based approach would have got this right away with more confidence. For those of you, probably you were able to spot errors better in the other choices. But the idea is the confidence. This would have been your choice straight away, right away. You saw how the reasons why I eliminated the other choices. Okay, it didn't take me much time. Let's quickly look at E. 14% of you chose choice E. The cost of running nuclear plants is about the same as other types. Now here there is a direct comparison between the cost and the other types of power plants. So again, there's an error because of that missing preposition. But the electricity they generate, now this they could refer to the power plants, this they could refer to the nuclear plants, is made more expensive because of the fixed cost stemming from building. So the rest of it might still work, but very clearly we can see that the ambiguity with they persists. The comparison in the first half of the sentence is still awkward, and therefore E is not the correct choice. My question to you guys, before I quickly bring up the next question, let me reset the poll. Does the meaning-based approach make sense to you? Does the meaning-based approach make sense to you? Does the meaning-based approach make sense to all of you? Great. I'm so happy to see this now, guys. So here's the next question coming up, and we learn a lot more things that we don't really do correctly when we're solving the questions, the SC questions. We will look at more of these things that we subconsciously go wrong on. So here comes the next question. Again, I'll give you 2 minutes to solve the question. Let me just move to my, here's the next question. All the best, guys. You have 30 more seconds, guys. All right, I'm going to end the poll. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How did you like the questions, guys? You can answer me in the chat. How did you like the question? How did you like the questions? You can answer me in the chat before we proceed with discussing this question. How did you like the question? I mean, the point is you have marked a choice. So Priyanka says it's tricky. Good question indeed, says Bishwadeep. Sneha says interesting. Adela says medium. Ananya says tough choice between two options. Isaac says it's tricky. Nice question, says Rajdeep. Rushali says bit confusing. Avilash says test so many things. All right, so from what I can understand from your responses is it's a nice question, but it's confusing. So because it's confusing, that's why it's nice, or what? Okay, good question means it was confusing, right? All right, guys. So let me now discuss with you the results of the poll. Uh, a little surprising, as you'll see when we discuss this question. So 33% of you went for choice A itself, which is really surprising and a little disappointing. I'll point out why. And it reinforces my belief that if you're not spending time on the original sentence, on the non-underlined part, you're not going to get the right. So we'll come to that. So B, 11% of you, C, 14%, just a small 3% on D, a very big 37% on E. So it's really between A and E. Okay, let's see. And I'm sure if I ask you that were you confident, you'll still give me the same answer that you were not confident. Now, before we proceed with discussing this question, guys, I want you to understand that the purpose of discussing this question is to point out to you why it is important to focus on the non-underlined part. Can you understand this, guys? What I'm saying? Let me just bring a poll here. Okay, the purpose of this question, okay, is to bring to you, to highlight to you that if you do not focus on the ununderlined part, you will make mistakes. Almost everyone has made mistakes on this question. Okay, so I'm going to point it out to you. I want you to realize that this is one facet of your performance, of your marking the choices, which needs to be relearned or readjusted or done differently. Okay, let me not talk too much and let me bring up the question itself. So let's get going. Now, the ununderlined portion says, as an actress, when we use as in this manner, we use it to indicate the role. Okay, here we are trying to show a role played. Okay, to give you a sentence, if I say, as the CEO of a company, as the CEO of an emerging company, comma, Anil Ambani has not been this. Basically, as the CEO of an emerging company, here you're talking about a role played by, in the role of, in the capacity of. All right. So this is very important. Here we are saying, as an actress, that means in the capacity of an actress, and more importantly, as a teacher. So that means in the capacity of an actress and in the capacity of a teacher of acting. You have to understand this. So these two roles are modifying Stella Adler, which is fine. Absolutely. So Stella Adler, in the role of an actress, in the role of a teacher of acting, was one of the most influential artists. So as an actress and as a teacher of acting, she was one of the most influential artists in the American theater, is the intended meaning. All right. Understand how these two modifiers are actually bringing out this, that she was one of the most influential artists, because in the role of an actress and in the role of a teacher. That's important. Who trained? This who is a relative pronoun modifier. Obviously, it's being used for Stella Adler, but it's placed next to American theater. Please remember, a relative pronoun modifier cannot jump over a verb to modify a noun. Can you see this? So the first error that we can see here is the noun pronoun error. Okay, the pronoun who is very illogically referring to American theater, while it should refer to, it should touch, it should be close to Stella Adler. And a relative pronoun modifier cannot jump over a verb, in this case was, to modify a noun. All right, so clearly here the who is misplaced and it's the biggest error. So far the meaning that we have understood is, as an actress, that is in the capacity of an actress and in the capacity of a teacher of acting, Stella Adler was one of the most influential artists. She was influential because of those two capacities or those two roles that she played. All right, and who trained means Stella Adler trained several generations of actors. All right, including Marlon Brando and Robert De Niro. Now we know the ing modifier here is to modify actors. It could probably be even modifying generations. All right, so the generations is including Marlon Brando, or the actors is including Marlon Brando. Probably the idea was actors included the likes of, the examples of these kinds of actors, is probably what they wanted to say. Anyways, so the major error here is the noun pronoun error. See how simple it was. 33% of you chose choice A. Can you see this, guys? I'll just ask you a simple question. So wait for my question. Let me ask you the question, then you put in the poll. Those of you who marked choice A, can you see that you might have marked this, you might not have chosen this had you deliberated upon the original choice properly? Can you see where you made the mistake? Do you agree that if you had been following the meaning-based approach, you would have been able to spot this error first on? It's very simple. 33% of you chose this as the correct choice. Well, let me just publish the, yes. So do you believe that you would have got this right had you given more time to the original sentence? Again, I have you 90% of you, almost 90% of you saying that yes, you would have spotted it. So guys, please let this session reinforce upon you the importance of giving ample time. Almost 50% of your solving time should go to the original sentence, focusing on the entire sentence, not only on the ununderlined part. Now, the importance of this ununderlined part, as you can see, a lot of you might question that why is E incorrect? Because 37% of you chose choice E. I'll point it out to you why it is incorrect. Just hold on for a moment, guys. All right. So I think this is clear why choice A is incorrect. It's a very simple error. And I want you to understand. So we are looking for the correct choice to reflect these 3 points. That in the capacity of an actress and in the capacity of a teacher of acting, Stella Adler was influential. That's the main idea. All right. And the additional information is she trained several generations of actors. All right. Because that is given to you in the form of a modifier. Let's move to choice B. Small portion. So this is gone. Let's go to choice B. Stella Adler was one of the most influential artists in American theater, training several generations of actors whose ranks included. Now, this sentence looks good. All right. How? Let's connect it. Sorry. As an actress and as a teacher, Stella Adler was one of the most influential artists. This agrees with our intended meaning. All right. And being one of the most influential artists, training here after the comma, okay, comma plus ing is going to modify the verb was. So how was she most influential? How was she one of the most influential artists? She trained several generations of actors. All right. So this training is modifying the manner in which she was one of the most influential artists. And therefore, it is also correct. Moreover, here actors whose ranks, whose types included. So this makes much more sense. And therefore, choice B is correct. Only 11% of you chose this. I hope those of you chose this for good reasons, for absolutely the reasons I have discussed. The main information in the original sentence was that in the capacity of an actress and teacher, she was one of the most influential. All right, and the end product of being one of the most influential was she ended up training several generations of actors. Is this clear to you guys why choice B is correct? Let me just reset the poll. Just hold on a moment. Is it clear to all of you why choice B is correct? Is it clear to all of you why choice B is correct? It links the ununderlined portion very clearly with the underlined portion. It tells you in the capacity of an actress and in the capacity of a teacher, she was most influential artist. This part is not brought out in E, as we will see. Let me reset the poll because I'm not sure if you got my question correct. Is it clear to all of you why choice B is correct? Is it clear to all of you why choice B is correct? Is it clear to you why choice B is correct, guys?
I think
Okay.
some people are confused about training and like I can see some
Okay.
questions.
Chat. All
Yeah,
right.
in
All right. I'll pay
chat.
attention to that.
Yes. I think Sarthak has a question and
Okay. Let me look at those.
Sarthak,
All right. Let me look at
yeah.
those. So, okay. So let's see. We have questions like it's not clear why it is correct. All right. I'll just explain this quickly. So one by one. First of all, the first portion, which is not underlined, as an actress, when we say as an actress, that means in the capacity of an actress, as a teacher, that means being a teacher of acting. So in these two capacities, Stella Adler, what about Stella Adler? Okay, so in these two capacities, Stella Adler was very influential. She was very influential in the American theater. So far, so good. Then we have, comma, training. Now, if you have not already gone through this concept, training here is not a verb, right? It does not have any helping verb. So clearly it's a modifier. All right, what we call the ing verbal modifier. What we teach, one of the things that we teach in our course is to tell you how this modifier is used. It can modify a verb as well as it can modify a noun. In this case, training is separated. So training is separated from the entire clause. Stella Adler was one of the most influential artists in the American theater by a comma. What does that mean? It means that training is not modifying the nearest noun American theater. It means that training is modifying the verb. This is the construction, this is the rule which goes with the use of ing verbal. If it is separated from the clause by a comma, it modifies the verb of that clause. It tells us the outcome of that clause. All right. So here, the outcome of Stella Adler being one of the most influential artists is she was training several generations of actors. So, in the capacity of an actress and a teacher of acting, she was one of the most influential artists and she was training several generations of actors. All right. This is one part. Whose ranks included? Now, as I told you at the beginning, the point was not that the actors included certain Marlon Brando and Robert De Niro, or the generations included Marlon Brando and Robert De Niro. What was probably meant is she was training several generations of actors, the likes of, for example, Robert De Niro. So whose ranks actually points that out very clearly. Okay, whose refers to actors, and it points out that the actors were of the type whose ranks included means the types included Marlon Brando and Robert De Niro. All right. So is this Sneha and Sarthak and Arpan? I think so. Is this clear? Let me just bring up the poll, reset the poll for you guys. Is it now clear to all of you why choice B is correct? Because this is very important. This is a very good example of how the ununderlined portion can play havoc if you haven't paid it enough attention. And I'm going to point it out again in E because 37% of you chose E. So E might actually sound very grammatically in that sense correct, but I'll point out how it is not really logical. So let's quickly move to, yes.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
just one thing. Can we remove that highlight from training? Because I
Yes,
think
sure, I think.
because Atul is saying if there was a comma before training, that it would have been wrong. So Atul, probably you got the whole point incorrect in that case. Since there is a comma before training, that's why it is correct. If there was no comma before training, then it will be incorrect.
I think
Okay.
my bad. So I think this is clear now, Atul. Is this, you can see that there is a comma. Thank you, Piyush, for pointing that out. So I think we'll move to choice C now. So only 11% of you marked choice B correct, but I hope you got it right for the right reasons. Here comes choice C. One of the most influential artists in the American theater was Stella Adler. Now see, as an actress, as a teacher, these should touch Stella Adler because they are modifying Stella Adler. But what is it now touching? One of the most influential artists in American theater. So as an actress is one of the most influential artists sounds a little weird. Okay, this correlation is not correct. One of the most influential artists in the American theater was Stella Adler. So these modifiers will have to actually go across this verb and modify Stella Adler, which is not accepted for a noun modifier. All right. Although who touches Stella Adler? So that seems to be correct. Once again, actors including is a little vague here because as I explained earlier, the idea was to say the type of actors such as Marlon Brando, not actors including Marlon Brando. All right, she did not train all the actors. She trained actors such as Marlon Brando and Robert De Niro. So choice C is incorrect. Again, a very small percent of you chose choice C. So I'm sure by now you can see why it is incorrect. The modifiers that should modify Stella Adler are not really modifying Stella Adler directly. Okay, let's move to choice D quickly. Here again, we have the same problem, if you can see. All right, only 3% of you mark this. The error remains almost the same. As an actress, as a teacher, modifying, not touching Stella Adler directly. It's touching one of the most influential artists. All right. So here, this is also incorrect. Let me move to choice E, which is the most, 37% of you chose this. All right. Compared to 33% who chose A. Now I'll show you why it is incorrect. If you look at this sentence, sorry, I'm so sorry, guys. If you look at this sentence, as an actress and as a teacher of acting, Stella Adler trained several generations. Okay. So as an actress, she trained several generations of actors. As a teacher of acting, Stella Adler trained several generations of actors. This is your sentence. But the original sentence was because in the capacity of these two things, she was the most influential. She was most influential artist because as an actress, because of her capacity or her role, the role she played as an actress and as a teacher of acting. All right. That does not quite sit well. If I were to like really point it out clearly here, what it means is, you know, the modifier becomes odd. If you take out the middleman, one of the most, what we end up with is a sentence that says, as an actress and a teacher of acting, Stella Adler trained the generations of actors. That doesn't make sense. She only taught people as a teacher, not as an actress. Okay. So who include is also a little incorrect here because it's talking about actors who include. The idea was actors, the type of. All right. So you can see how it is easy to go wrong, even if you've got the meaning correct, if you have not focused on the ununderlined part. You have to focus on the ununderlined part, guys. All right. For those of you who marked E, can you see this? How we are saying as an actress, Stella Adler trained several generations. That doesn't make sense. Okay. The idea was as an actress, she was very influential. As a teacher of acting, she was very influential. The outcome of that being influential was that she was training several generations of actors. So my final question is to those of you who chose choice E, because it's a very important learning here. Those of you who chose choice E, are you clear why choice E is incorrect? Can you see? Yes, I've got 100% on that. Great. So you can see here, guys, how important it is to focus on the ununderlined part. All right. Okay. So once again, there's a very subtle difference here. Some of you seem not to have followed it. So I'll just quickly clarify that. Let me just go back to this and just show you. Okay. If we go back to hold on. If we go back to choice A, sorry, choice B. As an actress and as a teacher, Stella Adler was most influential artist. This was the idea. Okay. Why was she one of the most influential artists? in the role of an actress and as a teacher of acting. And she landed up training several generations of actors. The such actors included the types of such actors were included the types like the likes of Marlon Brando, Robert De Niro. That was the idea. Now cut down to choice E. We are saying as an actress and as a teacher, Stella Adler trained. Remember, one of the most influential artists. This portion is actually just a noun phrase modifying Stella Adler. Okay, it has got nothing to do with as an actress and as a teacher of acting, and that kind of moves away from the intended meaning. This is not the intended meaning, guys, because you have missed out on the subtle nuance that was presented by the ununderlined portion. So although the sentence seems to be correct, it seems to be talking about Stella Adler, it seems to be talking about her being one of the most influential artists, it talks about Stella Adler training several generations of actors, it is not per the intended meaning. So now let me once again ask all of you, those who mark choice E, those of you mark choice E, are you clear? Those of you who mark choice E, are you clear with why it is not correct? My question is why it is not correct. Okay. All right. So that seems to be great. More than 90% of you have seen why it is not clear. And I'm sure along with that, I don't need to ask you that you agree with me that it is very, very important to focus on the non-underlined part as well. All right. So let me bring up the next question. Let me bring up the next question quickly. Here's the next question. Now, this question is to bring forth to you that how rules are important, but it is also very important to focus on the intended meaning. It is important to focus on the ununderlined part. It is important to focus on the logic. So all the best, guys. Your 2 minutes start now. Thirty more seconds left, guys. All right. I'm going to end the polls. Let me just quickly count 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here it goes. So please put in your answers, those of you who haven't put in. Okay, I'm going to end it now. All right. So before I look at the results, just tell me, guys, let me bring up the results are something like this. So we have 16% of you going with choice A, 7% of you going with choice B, 16% of you with C, 4% of you with D, and 54% of you with E. Now tell me one thing, guys. Let me bring up another poll. Did you guys, now let me finish the question. Did you guys focus more on the meaning of the original sentence in this case? Did you guys focus more on the meaning of the original sentence in this case? So I think my question was not clear. Let me reframe my question. Did you guys focus more on the meaning aspect, on the ununderlined part in this question? I can see 78, 82, 83, 84, 85%, 86% of you say yes. And I'm sure those of you, okay, who say that yes, they focused more on the original sentence and they focused more on the non-underlying part and the logic of the sentence, you were able to mark the answer choice with more confidence. I'm sure of that. It is also evident in the results because 54% of you mark choice E, and clearly 54% of you can't really be wrong. So we will see how choice E is correct and why the others are not correct. And then we have some more exciting questions coming up. All right. So great learning here. Let me straight away go to the question. So now if you look at this sentence, a large portion of it is actually non-underlined. But without understanding that portion, if you were to just straight away go to the answer choice and mark or look at the underlined part, it won't be clear to you. Let's see how. Unlike most other mergers, okay, so we are going to compare something and we are going to compare in order to bring out a dissimilarity. Unlike most other mergers in utility industry, now this, so we are talking about certain other mergers, so this which is modifying the other mergers. So these other mergers have been driven by the need to save money and extend companies' service areas. So, okay, so the first portion of this sentence means majority of other mergers in the utility industry have been driven by the need to save money and extend company service areas. All right. So unlike these mergers, the merger of, so clearly we are comparing other mergers and this merger. So the comparison is logical here, first and foremost. All right. The merger of the nation's leading gas and electric company. Now we're talking about merger, right? So a merger always has to be between at least two entities, say A and B. Now this gas and electric company, the way it is written, it seems to be one company. We are using the noun company. It's like saying motor and this company. It's like the same company. Now you can't have a merger between the same company, the divisions of the same company. It's illogical. Probably what was meant was a merger of the nation's leading gas company and some other company. All right. So probably unlike those mergers, the merger of the nation's leading gas company and a certain electric company is driven by something else. Okay, it is not driven by the need to save money and extend company service areas. Since we are talking about, we are using the word unlike. So that's the intended meaning here. Again, the is here is supposed to go with merger. So that is fine. But what is not fine is this part. Okay, this is illogical here. We have to have a clear indicator of there being two separate companies which are being merged. The merger of A and merger of B, where A and B are clearly separate companies. In this case, it seems gas and electric company is one company. So that's the lack of logic. That's illogical. All right. So the merger of these two companies is intended to create a huge marketing network for the utilities in question. All right, with states opening their utility markets to competition. So this is the intention of this merger, right, with the states opening their utility markets to competition. So this is what we are saying. This merger is intended to create a huge marketing network for the utilities in question while states open their utility markets to competition. So mostly these are the 3 points that we are looking for in the correct answer choice. All right, and I'm sure if you had focused, you would have got this. So most of you did get this, in fact. For those of you who didn't, I'm sure you kind of did not pay attention to this merger thing here. You did not think logically that a merger has to be between two separate entities and it cannot be within the same entity. All right, let's move to the answer choices. So 16% of you had chosen choice A, and I've already just explained why it is not correct. Okay, the idea is it should be made very clear that we have two separate companies. The way the company is written only once, gas and electric, and then the word company, it means we are referring to the same company which probably has both the utilities. So this is incorrect. B, again, small percentage, but you did choose this. So we are saying the merger of the nation's leading gas and electric companies. Now, leading gas and electric companies, then here, what does it mean? Does it mean all the electric and gas companies in the nation have merged together? Even if we say that leading gas and electric companies, we don't know what type of electric companies, which companies, all electric companies or not, are intended. Now, this is R is referring to the merger is intended. Remember for the original sentence. So here clearly we have a subject verb error. Okay, as states open is fine. As so we are saying as states open, with the states opening, while the states open their markets, that's okay. But the major error here is the subject verb agreement error. The subject was the merger is intended, not the merger are intended, and therefore choice B is incorrect. Let's move to choice C. 16% of you chose this. The error still is there. Can you see this, guys? Is intended to create a huge network that will be marketing the, it will not be marketing the utilities. Okay, it will be a huge marketing network for the utilities. The network will not market the utilities. That's a very incorrect way of putting it. But the major error still remains the subject verb agreement. The merger are. So you see, if you only apply rules that two nouns joined by and make it plural, if you just apply the rule that way, then you are making a big mistake, guys. If you think only the underlined part is important, you're making a big mistake, guys. And this is something that we should rectify right away. And it can be rectified by following this meaning based approach. Divide your sentence, and you can actually reduce your time taken to solve this, which I'm sure you must have seen. You are solving it correctly in under 2 minutes. All right, much under, way under 2 minutes. You got it right. 54% of you got it right, following the meaning based approach. All right, so it works. Anyway, so C is incorrect. Let's move to D. Very small percent of you chose. The error is still there. Over here, although they have separated gas company and electric company. So nation's leading gas company and electric company, but which electric company, they have not made it clear. Again, R is incorrect because of the word merger. So a lot of you have actually, all of you who chose B, C, and D have not seen this error of subject verb agreement, because probably you did not concentrate on the non-underlined part. So choice D is also out. Choice E, very simple. It says the merger of nation's leading gas company. So this is A, merger of A, and leading electric company. They also specify which electric company. So the merger of these two leading companies of the nation is intended, and therefore E is correct. So big clap to all of you who got that right. Let me not dwell anymore upon this. Let me quickly bring up the next question, which is going to test your newly learned method. Let me put it this way further. So I want all of you to put in your energies to giving more time on understanding the meaning of the original sentence before you move forward to eliminate the answer choices. Here comes the next question for you guys. Let me just give me a moment. Hold on. Yeah, here's the next question. All the best. You have 30 more seconds, guys. So put in your answers. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now. Time's up. So let's see. All right. So 1% of you chose choice A. 50% of you have gone with choice B. I've got a big smile on my face. 20% of you have gone with C. 18% of you have gone with D, and we have small 8% with E. Let's quickly go to the, so, okay, let me just, I can't resist myself asking a quick question, guys. So how many of y'all were following the meaning-based approach? Just a yes. How many of y'all were following the meaning-based approach? You know, you were trying to give more time to the original sentence, breaking it down. Great, I've got 100% on that. Wow. And that shows, guys, 50% of you got that right. 50% of you got this question right. And you can therefore see why, you know, this thing works. So let me quickly go into the explanation. All right. So if we analyze the sentence, okay, what is the sentence saying? A new study suggests. So we are talking about a new study, and what it suggests that the conversational pace of everyday life. Now you can simplify this by saying that pace of everyday life. So the pace may be so brisk. Now we know the moment we have this so thing, you know, this so X, that Y. I'll give you an example. They are so poor that they cannot educate their children. They are so you know, careless that they make small mistakes. So the so X, that Y. The moment you have a so, this is what comes to my mind immediately. It might come to yours also, but anyways. So a new study suggests, what does it suggest? The pace of life. Okay, so the pace of life may be so brisk, it, now this that is missing clearly here, you can see, may be so brisk, it. Now here the it can only refer to pace, because you know, I mean, it could refer to life, or it could also refer to pace of life, but then since pace of everyday life is there, so it is quite logical to, you know, understand that the pace hampers. Okay, so the pace may be so brisk, that is missing, so we clearly have a error of the idiom. It should be so X, that Y. Anyways, let's move forward. It hampers the ability. So this pace hampers. So it is this pace that hampers the ability of children for distinguishing. Now, ability and for, we always use ability to do something. That is one error that you can straight away see here. Ability to do something. All right. So it hampers the ability of children to probably distinguish discrete sounds and words. And the result is, so the result of this hampering, they are saying the result of hampering. Now, what should be the result of hampering? The result should be that the children cannot make sense of speech. But here the sentence construction says the result is to make sense of speech. Now, this is illogical. The result is that children cannot make sense of speech. All right. The intended meaning actually here is a new study suggests something about the conversational pace of everyday life. It means the pace of life may be so fast that it hinders the ability of some children to differentiate between different sounds and words. Okay. And as a result, it means the pace hampers the ability of some children to make sense of speech. This is the idea, but the way it is written, and the result is to make sense of speech, this is illogical. So we've got to rectify this. Okay. Only 1% of you chose choice A, so I'm going to let that go. I think almost all of you could see the lack of logic straight away out there. All right. So I'll just quickly once again repeat this. I think some of you are having problem here. Understand, we are saying the pace, okay, the pace hampers, all right, ability. And the result of this is, okay, so it hampers the ability to differentiate something, and it hampers the probably ability to make sense of. This is what the idea is. But what the construction is saying is that because the pace hampers the ability, the result is to make sense of speech. If you're hampering the ability of children to make a difference between the sounds and words, how can they be able to make sense of speech if a child is not able to differentiate sounds and words? So you see, the sentence appears to be grammatically correct, but there is no logic to this sentence. Therefore, it is incorrect. So choice A is out. Let's move to choice B. A new study suggests that the conversational pace of everyday life may be so brisk that, so we have the idiom error corrected, hampers the ability of some children. So it hampers the ability of some children to distinguish discrete sounds and words, and as a result, to make. So parallel. I mean, in fact, if I were to write it down, if I were to break it down and read, this is what I would have seen. The pace may be so brisk that it hampers the ability of some children, the ability to distinguish discrete sounds and words, and as a result of hampering that ability, the ability to make sense of speech. That's the idea. All right. So 50% of you got that correct. So big kudos, guys. I hope I'm sure you got it correct because you got the logic correct. All right. For those of you who got it, who did not mark this choice as correct, you need to take a closer look as to where you missed out. Let's examine the other choices quickly. One moment. Okay. See, that it hampers the ability of some children to distinguish discrete sounds and words, and the result of this, they are unable to make. The result of this. Now, the result of this means the result of what? GMAT is not very happy with just words like this. But even then, if we accept that the result of this hampering, there should be the result of the result of this is that they are unable to make. This link is missing, guys. The construction is not acceptable. What you're saying is the pace of life is so brisk that it hampers the ability, and the result of this, the result of this, and then a comma and this is incorrect. The result of this is that they are unable to make. The result of this is going to be the subject. Where is the verb of the result of this? Therefore, sentence C is incorrect. So 20% of you marked C as correct. Can you guys, now my question is addressed to those of you who marked choice C. Are you clear? Those of you who marked choice C. Great. 100% on that. Cool. Let me quickly move to the next question here. Sorry, the next choice. 18% of you also chose choice D. So that it hampers the ability of some children to distinguish discrete sounds and words and results in not making. Who is not making sense of speech, guys? Who is not making sense of speech? Either we say and results in children being unable to make sense of speech. That would also have been fine, but and results in not making, it seems to say the pace. If you read the sentence, okay, they are saying pace may be so brisk that it hampers the ability and results. So what is the subject of not making? Pace. So are we saying the pace in not making sense, the pace is not making sense of speech? That is what it means. Therefore, choice D is incorrect. Okay. Those of you who mark choice D, take a moment for this to sink in. And results in. So pace of life is so brisk, it hampers the ability and results in. So the pace results in not making sense of speech, which is weird and illogical. Therefore, it is incorrect. Let's move to choice E. Very small percentage of you chose this. So as to is not incorrect. So X as to is not incorrect, but in this case, does it work? We are saying the pace of life may be so brisk as to hamper the ability of some children. Again, ability and for, so we do not need to move forward. again resulting in being unable to make sense. Who is being unable to make sense? It again traces back to pace of life, and therefore choice E is also incorrect. All right, so clearly that's that. Let me bring up the last question, and I hope you're as excited as I am to look at the next question. Give me a moment. Now, this is a fully underlined question. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. I want you to concentrate on the original sentence. Follow the meaning-based approach that we have been following. Break the sentence and ask questions, guys. Here goes. I'm going to start the stopwatch. So get set, go. Thirty seconds, guys. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. So please put in your final answers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let me end the poll now. I can see the polls changing. So guys, please make up your mind quickly. Let me end the poll. All right. Okay, so let me quickly look at the results here. 7% with A, 23% with B, 25% with C, 11% with D, and 31% with E. Okay, so there seems to be some confusion here. Let's see what it is. Not an easy question. Not an easy question by any means. Okay. So again, let's look at the process when a sentence is fully underlined. Okay, so dividing it, reading it, that stays the same. Heavy commitment by an executive to a course of action. If I look at this full thing, all right, this full thing is a phrase. All right, it doesn't have any verb here. So we are talking about a certain type of commitment by an executive towards a course of action, especially if it has worked well in the past. Now, what is this it referring to? Whenever I come across a pronoun, my ears, eyes, all senses are alert, especially if it has worked well in the past. Now, this can only refer to the course of action. But the problem is, are we talking about that exact course of action, or are we talking about a similar type of course of action that has worked in the past? All right. So probably we are talking about a type of, especially if that type of course of action, it seems to be logical. The particular course of action cannot work all the time. So probably a certain type of action, committing to a certain type of action, and if that certain type of action has worked well in the past. All right. So heavy commitment. So I can eliminate all this part. By an executive to a course of action, especially if it has worked well in the past. Although I don't have, I would say it's an error because it is a little ambiguous here for me, to be honest. But still, it has worked well in the past. Makes it, now this it is again, it's the object of the verb makes it likely to miss signs. By now we know probably we are going to, who is going to miss signs? Probably the executive, right? Heavy commitment makes it likely to miss signs. Who will miss signs? So this second it clearly has no antecedent. That's the error, definitely. Probably we are trying to say that heavy commitment makes the executive the executive miss signs, makes the executive more likely to miss signs of incipient trouble or misinterpret them. Now this them can only refer to signs of trouble, right? And when they do appear, they should also refer to the signs only, so not a problem there. So what we are trying to say is heavy commitment of an executive towards a course of action. This heavy commitment, if you see how I've written, is likely to make the executive do something, especially if that type of course of action has been successful in the past. This is what I have understood. I may be wrong, okay, but I'm trying to understand the intended meaning. And such commitment is likely to make the executive do what? This something is likely to make the executive miss signs of incipient trouble or misinterpret these signs when these signs do appear. That's the idea, guys. Okay. So here clearly the heavy commitment has been stated. The heavy commitment, okay, the heavy commitment has been stated as the cause, and the executive missing signs, etc., whatever is the effect. And that is what we've got to remember when we are choosing the correct choice. Okay. Is this clear? Let me just ask you, let me just reset the poll and ask this question. Is this explanation clear, guys? Is this explanation clear? Great. I've got 100% on that. Okay, let me move to the answer choices. So A, we have ruled out for multiple errors, especially the pronoun ambiguity error. All right. B, an executive who is heavily committed to a course of action. Okay. Especially one. So one is referring to the course of action. So far, so good. That worked well in the past. Mix. What is the subject of this mix? The executive, right? An executive, because from who till here we have a modifier. So an executive makes missing signs. An executive makes missing signs. An executive makes misinterpreting ones. Okay. See how illogical it is. Can the executive make missing signs? No. It makes it likely that the executive will make miss the signs. And moreover, the original sentence was blaming the heavy commitment. The heavy commitment makes it likely. Here the executive makes missing signs. So this is totally illogical. 23% of you chose this, guys. Let me ask this question to those of you who chose choice B. Those of you who chose choice B, are you clear why choice B is incorrect? Great. Great. See, once you have analyzed the statement, you will be able to see where you've gone wrong. Good. Let me move to the next answer choice. 25% of you have chosen C. So let's see. An executive, all right, who is heavily committed to a course of action, all right, is likely to miss or misinterpret signs of incipient trouble when they do appear. Okay. So far, so good. Although the cause-effect relationship is not quite brought out here. If you see, this sentence is not saying that it is the heavy commitment which is making the executive miss the signs. They're simply saying an executive who is committed. So that is an additional information. This could be filled up with anything else. This is not telling me that this is the cause of the verb. Okay. So an executive is likely to miss or misinterpret signs of incipient trouble when they do appear, especially if it has been placed far away from course of action, even if it can refer to course of action, which, as I originally explained, it should not be there. They're not referring to that particular action, but that type of action. In some of the choices, in choice B, we saw that they had used one. Okay. If you go back to choice B, misinterpreting ones here refers to the trouble. Especially one is referring to course of action. So we've got to keep that in mind. Now this it is placed far away from course of action, number one. Second is, it could actually refer to trouble, which is the nearest noun, especially if the trouble has worked well in the past. I know you might argue, ma'am, this sounds illogical, but understand, we do not go by what my brain is telling me is the intended meaning, but what is really written there. The two have to reconcile what is intended and what is constructed, actually constructed. So per the construction, heavy commitment is not being blamed here. Per the construction, an executive is likely to miss the signs of trouble. All right, especially if the trouble has worked well in the past. It's like saying, especially if the trouble has been there in the past, the executive is likely to miss signs, which is illogical. So C, 25% of you chose that, is incorrect. Again, my question to those of you who marked C, have you understood why C is incorrect? Have you understood why C is incorrect, guys? Great, I have another 100% on that. I'm going to move to the next answer choice. Okay, here's D. 11% of you chose that. First foremost, this construction is awkward. Executives is being heavily committed. Okay, the problem is not executives being heavily committed. The problem is heavy commitment. And there is a difference there. Okay, again here that it, especially if it has worked well in the past. Again, what you want to say is especially a course of action that has worked well in the past, not that particular course of action which the executive is committed to. So executives being heavily committed makes them. Now executives is being used in the apostrophe s. Can you see this? It's not a noun, it's the possessive case. Okay, it's the possessive case of executives. Let me just clear this. Sorry for obstructing it. Okay, notice this apostrophe s, and we are using them. Can we use them to refer to belonging to the executives? For the possessive case of executives, we should use their and not them. So this is also incorrect. Okay, so you can see multiple counts on which the sentence is incorrect. All right, choice D is out. Let me move to, so we would need the word executive or executives to use them. Here we have executives apostrophe s, so we can only use the possessive form to refer to executives, and that won't work here. Makes their likely won't make sense. All right. Moreover, executives being heavily committed is awkward. E is the correct choice, and again, maximum percentage of you, 31% of you chose this. So see here, being heavily committed to a course of action, one, so a type that has worked well in the past, is likely to make an executive miss signs of incipient trouble or misinterpret them when they do appear. Okay, often people ask that whether being should be used or should not be used. Guys, plain and simple, go by the meaning rather than just sticking things that this is never and this is always. Here clearly we're talking about commitment to a course of action, heavy commitment to a course of action. So clearly we can describe the state as being heavily committed to a course of action is likely to make something go wrong, and choice E is correct. All right, so I hope all of y'all can see, those of you got it right and those of you who did not get it right also, why choice E is the correct choice. It's clear, logical, satisfying all the connections that are required to be made. Great. So guys, before I hand over to Piyush, a small, you have seen small samples of the way we teach sentence correction in our course. Okay, we emphasize not only on rules, but we emphasize on a lot more other things which actually stop you from progressing. Each of these things that we've taught today, we have dedicated modules to showing you the path. All our solutions, every single question is solved using the same method as detailed as I have given you the explanations today, if not more. All right. We will be teaching you this meaning-based approach, which will help you answer that question under 90 seconds and max to max that 2-minute mark. All right. This is where you will be able to eliminate the incorrect answer choices with confidence. So we do not just tell you that do this, we tell you how to do this. We'll tell you where to break the sentence. We'll tell you how to relate back the meaning the way I was doing today. We'll tell you what are those points which need you to break the sentence, and what are the rules that you need to apply. For example, one example was how to use that ing modifier with the comma after a clause. All right. So with that, let me hand over the reins to Piyush. Piyush, you there?
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Let me
Yes,
stop
I'm
my
there.
screen share.
And this was really enlightening. We solved so many 700 level questions. I believe all the questions that we did today were 700,
Yes,
or even some of them were 750
yes, they
level
were.
questions so quickly. I'm sure all of you guys are here got to learn a lot about it. So I'm formally opening this session now to the last part, where I and ma'am are also there to answer any questions that you have around your preparation, around verbal, anything that you want to ask. You can feel free to ask it. And